How would you like to be recognized not only for your skill on the platform, but recognized as a major influencer that gets paid for what you know and your influence? Pegine is my guest, and this is one of those interviews that I've listened to over and over, as Pegine's insights offer incredible tips that can advance your career in ways that could take you to another level. And now, here's Pegine. Pegine.
It's good enough for Oprah, good enough for Cher, good enough for Madonna and Beyonce. It's good enough for me.
So this is Chuck Gallagher, and that's Pegine.
That's it.
I like that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, the first name rocks it. Okay, so Pegine, help me understand a little bit the role that you are playing now with the corporate world. I know you've been active in the military world, but the corporate world when it comes to influence.
So now what I do is I work with senior executives. I go in and they might fly in 60 senior executives from around the world to work with me on influence, impact, and how to inspire others. And we do this through training and programming, but also we bring in professional role players who act as the executives that they might encounter at a higher level. So C-suite, board of directors, these are the people that are participating are people who need to know how to be savvy. We did this with the military, so I trained 20,000 officers on cultural negotiation, on influence and impact. We had 50 role players. Now I've transferred that into corporate and to coaching. And it's all about understanding that in today's world, right now, at the senior leader position, at the speaker level, that we are all about influence. This conference is named perfectly. But sometimes we don't know how to use our influence to leverage more opportunities and to be seen by the world as powerful, influential, and impactful.
As a speaker, now, when I say that, it almost sounds like I'm putting it in quotes and making it insignificant. But as someone who has the capacity and the power to deliver a message with impact, the thing that strikes me is in some cases, we are not seen as the celebrity or the influencer. We are a commodity that's hired to check a box for an organization that's having a meeting that you naturally are going to have an opening or closing keynote for.
Right.
Or breakout sessions.
Exactly. So they're looking at you as, okay, so you speak on this or you speak on that and you're brought in. The difference that's happening now is some at the bigger fee level, as well as in some of the most prestigious organizations, is our competition are influencers from corporate.
Okay.
Influencers from other organizations. They're not getting paid as speakers, they're getting paid very well, but they're also being trained very well how to be extraordinary speakers. So in order for us to be seen as we are the expert, we are the person, we have to have influence. We have to have the power of being quoted, the power of people following us who they themselves are influences. And we have to really work at that to get ourselves out of just being, I love being a speaker, but I get paid more for being an influencer.
So if I'm sitting back and my topic area is ethics, I hope people who are listening to VOE think, oh my God, we're going to hear this guy again. But if I want to be an influencer in that arena,
right,
what are specific things that you would tell me, Chuck, you need to do these 3 things to really move yourself into that realm?
So perfect. And you have a great story. You have a great background on ethics. Here are some of the things that I would say to someone that was speaking on ethics. I would actually reach out to some of the task force, governmental task force, that are looking at ethics and say, this is my expertise, I'm willing to be on that task force. Calling your local politician, calling your congressman, and congressman saying, I am an expert on ethics, how can I help you?
Right.
And just because most people just don't do that. And yet there are all these meetings. Now it takes some time, but you are sitting at the table with some of the biggest well-known, recognized industry experts that your colleagues are not. And when you say in your bio that you've been part of the task force on ethics development for the congressional services, do you think that your credibility has gone up or gone down?
Right, that's absolutely gone up.
Right? The influence then starts happening, and then you start, when you're in those meetings, you're saying, so what's your Twitter? Now they start perceiving you, your task force members, of, wow, you've written a book. Wow, I could follow you on Twitter. Wow, and their young assistants will start following you. That is credibility and influence on fire.
That's fascinating, and for those people who are listening on VOE, you can't see what you can ultimately see when you go to the NSA YouTube website to see the entire interview with Pegine, but I'm kind of grinning through this process because I remember as a young CPA, before I screwed up that part of my life, that I contacted my local senator and said I wanted to testify on a particular provision of tax law. And they selected me, which was bizarre. But then I could leverage that to say, but I testified before Congress on X, which completely changed the game.
Absolutely. And you just said something so important, because this is too much. All of our senior speakers, the ones that have been around there for a while, the ones that we've gone squishy a little bit, right? Things are going good. Sometimes the things that we did when we were younger, like calling to ask to be on a task force, calling to be interviewed, those things that really got us going, we stopped doing.
That's absolutely true.
And I'm saying we are now, those senior speakers are now the matriarchs of the business. Now you're the elder of the business. You're wise. You're needed. Your wisdom is needed. And we're not asking to be on the committees. Well, they're not going to call me. And I'm telling you, hey, you pay your taxes, call them up and say, put me on a committee.
So if you're taking your brilliance, your mind, and what you think, what do you believe is the most effective ways to get that message out for people to see?
Oh, okay. Great.
Thank you.
So one is to interview people.
Okay.
I think that the art of, I have a little TV video interview, a Zoom interview that we cut and splice and put on, but I interview interesting people who are in this realm who say, oh, so-and-so has been on her show. Have you been on her show? Now, in the speaking world, we just know it's each other, right? On each other's show.
Sure.
But in the decision-maker world, you must know people to get them on the show. So first is interview people.
Okay, perfect.
Really, really strong. The second thing is to be vulnerably brilliant in writing your message. What that means is don't package yourself so pretty. Tell your truth in a Facebook post, tell your truth on a Twitter, tell your truth on a blog. Really expose your brilliance, your knowledge in a way that's very relatable. The more you can use a story of your experience of leadership or in ethics, the more you can use, not talk about somebody else's experience, but talk about yours, you become relatable and people start sharing that story. It's amazing. I've made this past year, the more real I am about sharing my stories or my flaws or my successes, not talking about somebody else's, the more people have been passing along.
Okay, perfect.
I mean, that's been really amazing. The third thing is to be a student and go to conferences where people who are up-and-comers are showing up. So can I give you an example?
Please.
So I started attending last year something called Social Media Day. It happens every year all across the country in cities, and most of the people in that room are under the age of about 35.
Okay.
They are professional social media experts.
Okay.
They run it for companies. They run it for, all kinds of places. And their speakers are the social media managers of some of the biggest conferences in the world.
Right.
Right? And they're calling it social media. Well, what does social media people need more than anything else to fill their day?
Content.
Content.
Yes.
Content. What do we have?
Content.
So I'm usually the only speaker ever at these events,
Fascinating.
like a professional speaker.
Right.
And I get to pass my card, I take my books and stuff. So now I'm being interviewed by them. I got my Clorox spokesperson there, like, oh, we've been looking for somebody just like you. Well, here I am. This is the power of social media. They're looking for people like us. They're looking for what contact. And so when you're looking at people saying, who can I speak to? So if you're a healthcare person, there are tons of social media managers from hospitals, right? If you're an ethics person, well, there are people from law groups and insurance groups and
Sure.
anything there, but they would never show up at other kind of conferences.
Right.
They are social media geeks.
So I think it's fascinating. So you're going to the Social Media Geek Conference.
Yeah.
And positioning yourself as a content provider for something you know they have to have.
Right.
And will lap up like a hungry dog.
Absolutely.
Fascinating.
Absolutely. So can I give you a short story?
Oh, absolutely.
So I went to this conference. Now, I don't know the gurus of this industry, social media industry. I
Sure.
really don't. I had no idea. And I went and I attended this course to learn. It was about Facebook ads. And I'm sitting there to learn about this. And this guy, his name is Dennis Yu, Y-U. He used to be the head Yahoo social technology developer.
Okay.
Major stock owner of Yahoo.
Okay.
He was a presenter. And he's teaching this stuff, and he said, can I get some people up here willing to tell a story? I'll do that. So other people get up, non-speakers, right? And they're sharing their story. And of course, we as speakers looking at them saying, okay, could have done this, could have done that,
Right.
And he's there, and I get up and tell my story. And Dennis goes, wow, that's really good story. He took that video and put it on his Dennis page, of which he has 15 million people following him,
Oh my goodness.
and said, this is what a great story looks like. This is going. Now I'm getting people following me now, and we become social media friends.
Friends? Yeah. Okay.
Right? Like we're not. Maybe if I bump into him, maybe have a drink, but I don't know.
Yeah,
if he
whatever,
gets on me,
you
right?
know.
But because of his influence, then people are following me.
Right.
Because, oh, if you know Dennis, and Dennis has raved about you, you must be a somebody.
Right. An influencer.
And an influencer.
Yes.
Which is, when we're talking long term, and we're talking to our senior speakers, you got to remember that there's a machine. Like I heard you talking to David Arvin, right?
Right.
And it's a machine that's moving on. We got to keep on moving on. We have this going. Here's what's the most wonderful thing about our business. Do you want to know one of the most wonderful things about our business?
You know, if I don't say yes, you will explode. So no, yes.
We're the only business that we could speak until the day we die.
That's true.
I mean, really, like we could be speaking to assisted living homes when we're rolling in and talking and get paid for it. By the way, they do pay speakers at assisted living homes.
I can see it now. Rolling, rolling, rolling.
Yeah, really, so we're the so it's important for us to keep that wheel and not get jaded,
Right.
not get old. What I mean by old, thinking like, I'm done.
Right.
I'm tired of this stuff. It's about going out and getting. I still have a mission, and our mission as a senior speaker, as a senior leader, as a senior piece, is to be able to share our wisdom. And share it so that people can hear it in a way that gives us credibility and gives them the information. We're the only ones that have fallen into the hole so many times and messed up so many times that we could tell the truth. We still survived. I will survive.
You go, girl.
I'm telling you.
It's always a pleasure to talk with you. And I'm sitting here thinking, man, I am so happy we have captured this audio and video, because I can now go back, since I will have, a senior moment and forget some of these things and remember to do what you said, because to become an influencer is sometimes just a matter of making the choice to do that. And you've reminded us of that. Thank you so much.
Oh, I am so happy to be here with you. It's always joyous when I'm with you, And Joyce, with, of course, all our brothers and sisters, right? But thank you.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate it.